Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is another episode, should I say, of the mysterious death of Jermaine Covington. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to wish all the fathers, if you're in the building, a happy Father's Day. I'm glad y'all took the time out of y'all day to come out and support this new case that me and my colleagues, my family, should I say. Of course, y'all know John Q's been working with me. We got Chloe working with us. Of course, RJ. I want to thank Miss Naisha for being here. I see you in the building. This is part 3, people. And we got some information. A lot of information just hit us today. And we definitely going to get into it. But I want to go ahead and bring up my other panelists who will be with me this evening. We've been working hard behind the scenes, gathering information, trying to decipher the truth. And it's coming. It's coming, people. So without further ado, let me welcome my panelists, co-hosts, John Q and Chloe. What's going on, fam?
Hey.
Hello.
How you doing? Much love to the chat room.
Yes.
Boss Blake has got it lit tonight. Okay. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers in the chat room.
Most definitely.
Well,
thank everybody who has been here.
A good one.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody who's been here from the first live on my page to John Q Live. I think we had a great one over there as well. And just definitely keep tuning in. Pay attention. Hey, if you got any information that you find out for yourself and you want to help, we'll drop emails in there, and we just don't take anything for what it is. We are going to research. That's what we do. And that's one thing I respect about John. That's one thing I respect about Chloe, is we going to find out the truth. We just don't, you can't say it's raining outside and you actually pissing on our head. You can't do it. So don't even try
that. That's right. Keep it solid. Hello, Miss Naisha. Welcome. We are here for you and the family, and hope everyone is doing well on your side. Tonight's special live is about the Jermaine Covington case, an accidental suicide or something else that happened on in the month of June 22nd of 2021. And we've been working at it. And we got a few things to give you tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Out of a multi-part series that Mr. Boss Blake and myself and Miss Chloe, along with RJ, have been digging into. And we're going to get to it tonight. Because if you're here for the very first time listening to this case, we're going to be recapping what we've been able to cover and then take it from there. I just want to really make a big shout out and an extension to Miss Chloe Olvera, who's with us tonight as part of the research team digging into this case for justice, as she does and as she is still doing today for Kanika Jenkins, the 17-year-old young lady who lost her life in Rosemont, Illinois, at the Crown Plaza Hotel back in 2017 in the month of September. So, Miss Chloe, good to see you.
Thank you. Like I said in the chat, hello to everybody. If I miss your comments that y'all are tagging me in, just know that I will catch up to you. I'm reading documents at the same time, so I don't mean to miss you, but don't think I'm ignoring y'all. I'm just multitasking. It's still a holiday.
That's what we do. That's what we do. So we're gonna go ahead and get the show on the road. And again, thank y'all for being here. So for those who is this your first time tuning in, Jermaine Covington, of course, allegedly is a man who was claimed to kill himself in police custody inside of a precinct in New Jersey. And his wife have questions about that. And there's a lot of information, especially compared. Hold on, I'm getting pop-ups compared to this news article that we always go back to or start our shows out with. Some things just don't add up. So we always start here. I know you wonder, like, why you always bring the same article? Because we just want to bring anyone who's new up to speed, and then we'll go into the rest. So if you kind of lost, go back to the first one on my page, the second one on John's page, and if my mod, Devil Rainbow, if you can drop John link in the chat, drop Chloe link in the chat, and you can also drop RJ link in the chat. And make sure y'all subscribe to everyone of this family. You know what I'm saying? Because we do this together, and I think we make one hell of a team. Nobody better. Believe it. So let's get to the business. So as you know, Jermaine Covington was being arrested on June 22nd. It started out as when the police got behind him. They said he was driving recklessly on the wrong side of the street, and he ran into a telephone pole. He got out, ran. They couldn't catch him. Now, eyewitnesses stated that when he got out of the vehicle, he had a gun in his hand. That came from eyewitnesses. Okay, it was transmitted to the 911 operator, which the dispatcher sent it to the police officer, so they assumed that he was armed. Never found the gun on him. Never found the gun on him, people. Never found the gun, and it's not in any document that we have read that they ever found the gun. So just put that in your head. They caught up with him. Well, before they caught up with him, they say he attempted to make a carjacking. He was unsuccessful. And then they eventually caught up with him on a street called Leo Street behind the address of 612 Leo Street, where they encountered Mr. Covington. And at that point, they stated that he said, "Kill me. I got a gun. I got a gun. Kill me. Kill me." Making a movement with his arm into his waistband like he got a gun. We all know if that was the case, they'd have shot him. I don't think nobody would disagree with that. But the officer said once he realized he did not have a gun, him and another officer, which one officer's name is Vetter, I think the other one was Brown. They arrested him and took him to the precinct, which the precinct is actually 6 minutes away from the place that they apprehended him. All right, John, if you got anything to go from there, feel free to do so.
Well, thank you, Mr. Boss Blake, and thank you all for joining us tonight. You know how I like to say hello to everyone? Shout out to everyone supporting Mr. Boss Blake and the panel tonight covering a very serious story. One that has deemed our attention, and in a way that we need to pay attention and be vigilant, because our loved ones, whether it be a husband, a wife, a child, any member of your family could go through a situation like this. And I give high accolades and compliments to Mr. Boss Blake for bringing this to our attention in a way that deems that attention. When it comes to our family members, well, all of us want to make sure our family is good. And in this particular case, back on June 22nd of 2021, between the states of Baltimore and New Jersey, and an arrangement that was made to pick someone up at Newark International Airport, something went wrong on June 22nd. Something didn't follow through. Something wasn't completed. Only to find out that moments later, the wife of a 41-year-old male, Jermaine Covington, was dead. For some strange reason, he was supposed to pick her up at the airport. That was the arrangement. Lo and behold, unbeknownst to her, something had changed. And her life changed at that present time. What she did was everything in her power to try to find the truth. From that point up until now, she is still looking for answers. She confided on a social media platform such as YouTube and located somehow Mr. Boss Blake to bring this story alive. When he got it, well, you know where we are. But go ahead, Mr. Boss.
No, go ahead. I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. Okay. But welcome, everyone. This is part 3 in a series that we're doing on Jermaine Covington's mysterious death. How it happened, what happened, who it happened with, what's involved, who's involved, and is this a case of suicide or foul play? That's what we're here to discuss with you and expose this story, because stories like this is what needs to be really focused on. Like I said, when it comes to our family members, we want everyone to jump with us. And so, Miss Naisha, thank you for being here, supportive in every way that you and the family have been supportive, and helping us to try to help you to get justice for your husband, your family, and your future. With that said, I usually do a rundown, but I can't. This is Mr. Boss Blake's channel, and
Have at it, my brother. Have at it.
We're getting into it, and much love to Miss Lorraine for being in the house, RJ for being in the house, Elizabeth Landers for being in the house. We got Oki 420 Mama in the house, Double Rainbows holding it down in blue, as she does for me on my channel. Thank you. Miss Chloe Averia is in the house and on the panel tonight. We've got RJ from his channel. It's been a part of this investigation, joining us. Thank you. We've got, wow, a number of people. David Dundee in here. Shandia Ellison is in here. Shandia, welcome. And we got a host of people showing up tonight. Good. Because if you're here for part 3, you're about to get it tonight. Part 1, we covered this article and some things about the article that we were able to dig into. And according to what we've been able to find, we've been able to present. And with the compliments and love and caring of Miss Naisha, Mr. Covington's wife, being a part of this chat, any questions that you have to ask her in the chat, you can do that. Okay, so we definitely encourage that, because anything that you feel can help based on the discussion that we have here tonight all goes toward helping the family get justice. So I'm not going to keep going any further. Miss Chloe, how are you? Welcome. Any opening comments?
Nope. I think you guys are doing a great job covering it all.
All
I like I said, I want to thank all my people that I'm seeing in the chat that I was telling them to come over here last night and this morning. Sometime today I made a 2-minute live to show my family's gathering, and I said y'all make sure y'all meet me over there in a couple hours on Boss's channel. So I say thank you guys for coming by and listening to the story, because I think some of them had already been checking into this story prior to me checking into it, so they might be ahead of me. I don't know.
Most definitely. RJ, welcome, bro.
Boss Man Blake, thank you very much. John Q, thank you very much. As always, it's a great pleasure to work with you and be around you. And if you hear that in the background, I apologize. It's an echo of your show. I will take care of that in just a moment. It's something playing in another room. But I wanted to say thank you very much for including me in this. Miss Nisha, I see you in the chat room. I only hope that we can do this story and continue to do this story the justice it deserves.
Most definitely. Appreciate you for being here, RJ. Now, we pretty much had an itinerary on what we wanted to discuss. We try to plan accordingly and be prepared before we present any information to you guys. But like I said, there's a lot of information that just hit us today that we feel is very important. And we want to share that with you, John. So I'm going to hit them with the information I got today. If that's cool, John Q.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. You started off, and we can, connect from there and get things flowing.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So, of course, we know in this article, as you see, Mr. Covington was handcuffed to a bench inside of the precinct. His right hand, that is, and for those who've been following us, we know he is right-handed. His left hand was free, but he has limited use of his left hand. He's what they call a monoplegic, if I said that correctly. Limited uses. Now, y'all remember, if you're right-handed, anything you try to do with your left hand is going to be a little weaker. Add to that he had limited use of this hand. All right. So what was stated that Officer Vetter, now this is in this article. I haven't read this in no other police report. If anybody on the panel seen this, please let me know. But they stated that he walked over to pick up a cup off the floor, water or coffee. I don't know why they don't know what was in that cup, because they're two different colors. One's dark and one's clear, but we're going to leave that there. What was stated that as he approached that bench where Mr. Covington was, remember, he grabbed him with his left hand. Now, if anybody know when it comes to a police and his firearm, which side is mainly located on, which is his right side, because most officers are right-handed. Normally the taser's on the left-hand side. So just get that picture in your head. As he walked over, it was stated that Jermaine reached out with his left hand with limited use, grabbed this officer's gun from his holster. Now, this is where the story is different depending on who tells it. But before we even go to that point, let's talk about him being able to take this officer's gun from his holster. Now, I wanted to know, is it that easy to take a gun from out of an officer's holster? Because if it is, that means if they're chasing someone, it's easy for that gun to pop up out his holster, correct?
Correct.
That makes sense to me. So I have a good friend of mine, which he will be coming to my live very soon. He's a police officer. He was a police officer for 20 plus years. And I was just having casual conversation with him, and I asked him a few questions. And the first question was about the guns and being in that holster and how it's removed. So I gave him this particular story, and I told him what supposedly happened. First thing came out of his mouth, that's bullshit. They got 3 level holsters that has been made. Level 1, they don't make no more for patrol officers. They have 2 and 3. A lot of officers don't like using level 3 holster because it's a little bit more complicated and takes too much more to get it off the holster. But the level 2 holster is the one that most patrol officers use. And to take that gun from that holster, there's I think he's called it a lever, or a switch. I can't remember the exact words, but it has to be pressed, and you have to turn the gun towards your body to pull it out. Now, remember I stated, this is for his left hand with limited use. He has no idea what it takes to pull a gun from an officer's holster. So how did he do it? Anybody on my panel, y'all can join in and come in on this conversation.
Right. Most of the information that Mr. Boss Blake has covered is important because it goes to safety. Now, in our first part and second part of the live series that we're doing on this case, I'm looking at the aspects of law enforcement safety. How do they make sure that everything that they do is according to protocol and safety, because they are the ones carrying weapons outside of the public, which are not supposed to carry weapons, right? All right. So New York is not an open carry state. Meanwhile, Texas is, and other states across the United States. So when looking at something like this, the officer had his gun taken from him by a detainee inside of a precinct where it's supposed to be safe. Everything, doors, windows, hallways, offices, elevators, stairwells, etc. All right, so let me do this. Since we're talking about weapons safety in this case, and that's what I'm looking at, what is the protocol for police officers to obviously open carry in states that allow it for them, but yet when they are secluded in areas of confinement and detainment, how are weapons supposed to be treated? I think that's a valid question. All right, so with that said, Mr. Boss, I'm going to do this and share something that you sent me, which obviously I've been looking at, which pertains to officer safety when carrying a weapon outside of their jurisdiction, called the police precinct, headquarters, etc. All right. And taking a look at what a certain protocol should be about, especially if you have an officer that's been dispatched to a shooting, a person down, police officer down, or some kind of gun situation where they are required to obviously arm themselves, and in which way they do and what safety measures they have to follow. So let me do this. Boom. On our last live, I showed a quick video of what a safety measure, according to safety protocol, state protocol, should be about. So let's really take a quick look. And let me know when you can see that, and we can walk you through it.
Go for it. It's up.
Okay. 6360. Most police officers across the states carry a 9mm Glock. It went from a 380 Beretta. I think it was changed over in the late 80s. And then the Glock 9 came into play. Only because Tech 9s, Tech 10s, and obviously we come across more military style weapons that came into place. The AR-15 being one of them in a lot of today's news. But this is going to just take you through what a protocol is all about. Real quick, let's go to work. This is a Glock 9, a safety holster police officers wear. And it's very simple, easy to use, quick, efficient, and safe.
The Model 6360 incorporates the patented Safariland self-locking system, also referred to as a hood. It also incorporates the hood guard that prevents anyone or anything from accidentally chopping and opening the SLS. But new for this year is the automatic locking system that's internal, locking the gun on the ejection port. Even with the hood in the open position, the gun will not come out from any direction. It is firmly locked in place. To operate the automatic locking system, or ALS, we're going to place our thumb on the operating lever alongside the slide, moving it to the rear slightly and lifting the pistol out of the holster. When we reholster the gun, thumb is over the back of the slide, fingers off the trigger. We simply push the gun straight back into the holster and it will lock itself automatically. Then we bring the SLS up and lock it in place as well.
Okay. Was this safety mechanism utilized during that time when the officer had detainees in a confined area within the police precinct? How did Jermaine Covington get a hold of that officer's weapon if this type of safety issue was implemented? If it wasn't, what was implemented, and yet how did he get access to that gun to pull it, put the officer's life in danger and everyone's life in danger at the same time, other officers as well as detainees? So I wanted to bring that up because that is the root cusp of what I'm digging at. So anyone else on the panel?
Well, go ahead if you want to talk.
Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead.
I think I could help out with that. Is just my opinion, speculation, but what I'm going to read to you comes straight from a court document that's been filed already. And I just literally, when I was setting these papers up, realized that I had not caught that until after this live has actually started, this one particular sentence. Let me screen share so that way y'all know that what I'm fixing to say is actually in an official court document. There we go. Okay. Go to the top to show you. See here, it was filed last year in March. Okay. So this is an official document, but it's right here in the green. Now they're jumping in this document, this particular page, they are jumping around making statements from different officers or whatever. But this particular one, it says, at this time, Vetter, which is the one that his name keeps popping up, that he was able to take his weapon from him. It says he unholstered his weapon, put it in the fire position, but did not discharge it. Now, it goes on to say how him and the other male officer tackled him, handcuffed him, put him in the vehicle. It goes through the whole steps, but I have not seen it written out that he put it back in the safety position. So if he did not do that, because like I said, it's going step by step in all these little details, starting with it says, according to the sworn testimony from Vetter, the deceased motioned to his waistband as though he had a gun and kept yelling, "You should have killed me. Kill me now. I have a gun on me. I'll shoot you." This is, at this time, Vetter unholstered his weapon, put it in the fire position, but did not discharge it. Then at approximately 3:45, the Hillside police officers tackled him to the ground and placed handcuffs on him. It goes on to talk about how he did continually yell in the vehicle and stuff, a lot more profanity or whatnot. And then it goes all the way down, just like y'all described it, except the only thing different I'm seeing on this that I haven't heard y'all mention anyway is that it says that the police officer Vetter felt like he was being egged on by him to create an incident that would be suicide by cop type thing, which that gives the impression, if it was true that what they said he was yelling, but this is actually written out saying that the cop is making the statement saying that he felt like that's what the man was doing. And then it goes into different things as far as the drink that you were talking about. Where's it at? I did see it say in this legal document as well. There it is right there. About the water cup. It says, after he was seated on a long backless bench and his right wrist was handcuffed to a horizontal bar on the bench while waiting to be processed for booking, which there's different stages. When you're handcuffed to the bench, the processing, that's when the arresting officer is going to be asking you some questions, and then you wait either there or in the holding cell until a different officer comes and takes you to booking. Booking's the one that does your fingerprints and your photographs. Okay. But he was still in the processing position, if you want to call it that. It says he kept acting like if he was trying to get somebody to walk up to him. He says, appeared to be trying to goad someone to walk up to him. Thereafter, following an incident in which he threw the paper cup of water on the floor, and Vetter walked down toward him and knelt close to pick up the paper cup, and that's when he grabbed a hold of his unsecured gun. Okay, so it does say it was unsecured right there, and shot himself in the head. So that explains at least what I assumed anyway, what you were asking about, John, because the gun, for at least now we know why it wasn't, even though it was still wrong, but it could not have been secured in order for this man to be able to get that gun so easily. But now we know when he pulled it, he didn't put it back the way it should have been.
Right.
According to this court document from last year.
That answers your question that you had earlier, and I want you to keep this up, because now I want to go to the second question that I asked my longtime buddy, because I told you I asked him 2 questions, and then we're going to come right back to you, Chloe. So keep that document up.
I've got him up.
Okay. So a lot of people who've been following this case with us, including us on the panel, wanted to know, like, don't they supposed to put these guns up before they walk into the processing or the booking area? Well, let me tell you what my buddy said. He said 99.9% of precincts all over the world, that's a rule in the precinct. That gun should have been put away because there's no need for it when you're in the booking area. You have the suspects already apprehended. You know what I'm saying? Especially these guys, they're sitting with they're handcuffed to a bench or to a bar on the bench. You feel what I'm saying? So there was no need for them to have their guns out. So all of this that they're stating that they passed this law, passed this rule shortly thereafter this incident is bogus. Who got a bird? Somebody got a bird in the background?
I got a window open. I apologize.
That's okay. I'm gonna just hit mute unless you got something you want to say. RJ.
I was. That's why I had myself unmuted. But I'll mute myself again.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, since we were just going around the horn kind of deal here, and that video John Q shows that when the officer absolutely needed to pull his weapon, it is not by a minimal effort. It's great effort. There's 2, possibly 3 locking mechanisms to keep it in place to prevent a person, if they got into a old school fisticuff term, I'm a hockey fan, if they got into a scrap and they got into a wrestling match with somebody, it's designed to keep the weapon in place.
Bingo.
It's not supposed to be, it's designed to keep it so it doesn't accidentally fall out in a scuffle or when they're chasing somebody. This is not designed to just jump out and become available for anybody. And then the other thing I was going to say is exactly what you're saying, boss man. Right this second, exactly what you're saying. You know, this weapon should have never been in a booking area or in an area where that the prisoner was already secured, because to some people that's an escalation to have it at their officer's hip. When at this point you are encouraging de-escalation, everybody to be calm, everybody just to be cooperative with the process.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, RJ.
Boss, have you seen this precinct?
Me and John actually looked for pictures of inside of it. We could not find it. Well, do you have any?
Not the inside, but have you seen it from the outside?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, before you jump there, Chloe,
uh-huh.
Before you jump there, I like the way you think because we're on the same page.
I was going to say, I think it seems like it's small and maybe old school, maybe not up to date. Just stereotyping it, looking at the video from the outside that I saw. And what RJ is saying is correct. And even if it's not a law, it's generally is policy. Because as he was talking, my memory was coming back from a million years ago.
Right.
They do have lockers that when they get to a certain point that they do unholster their gun and they put it like in a locker. Because when they do sit down to do the processing, they're asking you the questions that they really should already have the answer to, like, what is your name? Well, if you arrested me and brought me here, shouldn't you know what it is? That's the way I look at it. But it's their process; They have to do it. But like he said, it is a time that it should be calm and cool because it is in the open area right outside the holding tanks of the people that are irritated because they're in the holding tanks and they're cold and they don't want to be in there, that type of thing. And I don't know if there's any kind of policy that says once you get X amount of feet into this area, you have to get rid of your guns. I don't know that part of the law, but I would think that there is. And then the only thing I could think of why he would walk past them. Has anybody looked how long was this veteran even on the force, or how experienced he was, things like that? if he was experienced, the only other thing I could think of is maybe they're so old school and the lockers are way over yonder and they just ain't remodeled yet. I don't know.
That
But
could
those are
be.
just things that kind of stuck in my mind when I remember seeing that video on a news clip or something that
Right.
they looked like they needed to do update on their whole facility.
And it could be. It could be, you know. And I appreciate you bringing that up. You know, like I said, we're all on the same page. You
Yep.
know, not too long ago, there was a case out of Las Vegas, and it concerned a 4-year-old that lost his life. Amari Nicholson was that little boy who was watched by a boyfriend of a girlfriend who went to see her mother because the mother claimed that she was bitten by a dog and couldn't get around as much. So the daughter went to go see the mother from Las Vegas all the way to where she was, leaving the child with the boyfriend in Las Vegas. What happened shortly after was absolutely astonishing because within a matter of 48 to 72 hours later, the boy was dead. Amari Nicholson. There was an interview that was done by the two, the mother, the bio mother, and the boyfriend. If you remember that, and how the boyfriend was reacting to the reporter's questions about certain things about then what happened. Oh, he gave the child away to someone he didn't even know. But they said it was an aunt sent by the mother to pick the child up, and so on and so forth. Let me just bring something to your attention, because in Las Vegas, which was well before 2018, take a look at this. Let me know if you can see it.
Good to go.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. This is in Las Vegas. This is when Amari Nicholson, 4 years old, out of Las Vegas, lost his life. And they were able shortly thereafter to arrest the boyfriend based on statements that he made that was inconsistent of the original story. He was the last to be with the child. He turned around. He confessed. They have him now in a confined interrogation room. Officers are in an interrogation room with weapons on. This is part of a due process series before you get to arraignment. I bring this to your attention because it's important, because this happened right after this incident that we're talking about occurred. Take a careful look at what happened in the interrogation room when they wanted to talk with Terrell about what happened to Amari Nicholson. He got a hold of the officer's gun, is the point. in a confined area. 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers trying to constrain the prisoner in a tight spaced area, no more than maybe 6 by 6. And it was a female officer that lost her gun. And yet the police didn't know about safety. And it's a perfect example of this particular case right now. Here we have Jermaine Covington not being, questioned by police in a questioning room, interrogation room, but he's out handcuffed with his right hand to a bar, about as high as he is, chest level, so to speak, sitting on a bench bolted down to the concrete, because those benches don't move. And if an officer is going to be putting a cup of water someplace, it has to be a table. So he is sitting where there is a table. The cup falls over, according to the narrative, and this is where Mr. Covington was able to get his gun. Why? How close was this officer to Covington to have his gun removed from his holster? Just the way this woman who was sitting across the table from Terrell Rhodes, he was able to get her gun, is my point.
Okay. So, of course, when going back to what Chloe stated or read to us in her statement, it said he threw the paper cup on the ground. So if he threw the paper cup on the ground out of anger, we don't know where it bounced and how far it bounced away from him. I don't think they were in the same type of vicinity in an enclosed area, because remember, he had a witness cuffed right next to him.
Correct.
So I feel like I don't think there was a table in front of him. I could be wrong, but I really doubt there was.
Yeah, and it's a difference, and the only reason I showed that is because even in a tight, confined area, we saw how easy it was
Gotcha.
for Terrell Rhodes to grab a female's weapon sitting across from her on where there is an obstruction called a table. Now we're talking about Mr. Covington being in an open area, a holding area.
Gotcha.
Where there are other people. How close did this officer come to Mr. Covington in order to do that? Now, I pointed out to Mr. Boss Blake, based on information that I was able to get from law enforcement out of my family, based upon guidelines and line jurisdiction, that both Department of Corrections and police precincts follow protocol on. And if anyone has seen any of the detainee type videos, they have lines on the floor. And these lines represent traffic to follow in coordination with policy. Lines of travel going to court, lines of travel coming out of court, lines of travel going in and through various different security points in a building. Blue lines, red lines, whatever you want to call them, they're all on the floor. Like COVID, gave us lines at the supermarket, footprints here, lines there, to make sure that we are social distancing. Okay? They follow the same protocol in these areas, both in courts, precincts, Department of Corrections, prisons across the state. They've been doing it for years. I wouldn't doubt very much that New Jersey doesn't have these same lines when it comes to police safety being too close to a prisoner in any given way, shape, or form. They're always buddied up, if you will. If a police officer has a weapon, they're always buddied up, 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, to make sure that there's safety always present in these particular areas, either of confinement or an open space. Here we don't have that. So I wanted to make that point so that people can, put that in their frame of mind and keep that there, because in this particular case, we have an officer by himself, a cup of water that hits a floor. How close did he get to Mr. Covington in order for Mr. Covington to extract his weapon from his side holster? And we saw moments ago the video about security of that, what police should have as a mechanism to secure that, especially when they're running after an assailant to arrest them. How doesn't the gun fall out of their holster? They are secured and locked into that holster until the police officer renders it from that area to defend himself, life and death. So that was my point.
Appreciate that, John. Appreciate that a lot. Before we move to the next point or the next phase of this live, RJ, did you have anything to add to this before we continue?
Boss man, I appreciate that. Yes, actually, I do. I do not hide that I was born and raised in the Philadelphia metro area, and I, in fact, lived in South Jersey. So New Jersey is the most densely populated state, or it was at one time. I don't know if it still is or is not the most densely populated state in the country. I'm not in any way making excuses, simply trying to explain why municipal buildings are the way they are. The land is very, very rare to be able to build a complex that most cities will designate for a police station, a separate fire station. So a lot of times when you go and see a municipal building, you are talking about the mayor's office, the tax collector's office, the water collector. All these offices are crammed in one building. And of course, and the police department holding cells are also in the same building. Oftentimes, they'll be relegated to be in the basement, where they can have that to be the most secure area of the building for that type of environment. So we're not talking about a building that has a huge amount of room, but ample amount of room for the need that they do, and they rely heavily on county jails or prisons for anything beyond arrest, booking, and initial interview.
Appreciate that. That's something to think about, especially when we're looking at this particular situation. Now, what I want to do next is Chloe been doing a lot of heavy research, and I got to give Chloe a lot of credit on her work, and I definitely got a lot of love and appreciation for her. But before we move on, because we're finna go to Chloe, because she got some information today that we didn't have access to, but she did. So let's just rewind, and I want to ask the chat, for those who have been following this story since we began, can anyone tell me where Miss Naisha was during the time or where was she coming from when all this situation occurred? Can anybody answer that question? We'll give you a couple of seconds before we move on, because this is very important on what we're going to move into next. It's very important. So can anybody tell me, where was she coming from? Where was she at this time that he was supposedly dead from a gunshot wound, a self-inflicted gunshot wound? Can anyone tell me that?
Well, you have David Dundee says the airport.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Leanne. It is. We did start at 6. We started at 6. It's almost 7 now. Maybe you're in a different part of the country, so maybe that's why you. Chloe, we made that same mistake with you, didn't we, Chloe?
I missed the comment. I'm sorry. She's in the wrong time zone like me. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, she's in the wrong time zone. Yeah,
No problem.
I don't know what she said, but YouTube's supposed to have they make the time difference when for the notification, but our mouths, we don't say it. That's why I always got in that habit of saying Chicago time. If you live somewhere besides Chicago, it's up to you to go figure out what your time zone is now.
Yeah. We went through a time zone in Chicago, right, Chloe?
Well, I just happen to be in the same time zone as Chicago, so that just made it easy.
All right, so we got, like John said, we got David Dunn who said the airport. Lorraine said the airport. Shanda says the airport. Balance says, I'm assuming you mean she was coming from Jamaica. Well, the airport is correct. That's where she was at. But she was coming from the Dominican Republic. All right. So Chloe did some research, and we're going to allow Chloe, you can go ahead and bring your documents up, Chloe, because some information that she actually.
Real quick, just so I can help the viewers that maybe cannot visualize what it is when we're describing where he was at when he was handcuffed. Now, mind you, I just right now, as y'all were talking, that's why I wasn't able to answer right away. I drew up what my county in Texas looks like. So I know every county is going to be a little bit different, but I think it'll kind of give you more of an idea. So it kind of makes more sense for those that may have never even seen the inside of that particular part of the county jail, because that's basically what it is. It's the county jail. There we go. Let's see. Y'all just gonna have to ignore Peter Parker. I hear him making noise out there. Okay. This is, I think they call it the bullpen, or they call it something. I don't know what. I was on the outside of it. Okay. This is where it's glass, bulletproof type glass. And there's an officer that sits in here watching all the cameras, the whole 9 yards of all this area. Okay. For my county, they brought the people in this way. It's a walkway. What John was saying about there being lines on the walls, I didn't have time to draw it, but yes, it'll be like maybe 18 inches against the wall for the hallway that goes this way. And, and also it's not just to stay away from each other, but let's say they got somebody that they're having to pull out of one of the male holding tanks that wants to be a spitter. So if there's some males that are being escorted down this way to another male holding tank, they'll be told to turn around and face the wall so they don't get spit on, or so they don't recognize the guy and realize, hey, you're the guy I wanted to beat up last time I saw you. It's different reasons, okay? So when they bring them in, they automatically, depending where, there's benches like this. Those benches in our county, they're not wooden, they're metal, and they are bolted to a concrete floor. They have the handcuffs are mounted to it. When the officer comes to do the processing, he will sit down on this bench as well, and he folds like a lap tray in an airplane down from the wall here, and he does his writing as he's talking to you, like that right there. Over here be computers and whatnot that they go back and they put the information in. This in my county is the women's holding tank, and this is the men's. This is for isolation, where they have nothing but a hole in the ground and no clothes on them for their own safety. So this area is a very chaotic area because it's the main passage of all the different veins or arteries of the where the prisoners are, the detainees, whatever you want to refer to them as. You know, and then one of your halls, like over here for us, it was the nurses' station was down here, that type of thing. So when I read those documents about other officers that was talking here and there and whatever, and then they walked off and went different places, I could actually visualize that because the officers that I saw walking around and stuff, I don't know what they were really doing, but I could visualize that's what, you know, semi what they were doing. If they gave him a cup of water, I'm surprised, maybe because he said in one of the article reports, I did see that the officer said that he did mention that he had some issues. I don't know. Maybe they were just nice. I don't know what the reason is. They wouldn't have gave me no water in my county, but he threw the cup down. Now, in my county, those cops will kick that cup way over here and then pick it up. They won't get close to you at all. They just don't. So again, that's his negligence on his part for doing that. Whether or not he had his gun still with him or not, because that man still could have just grabbed him by the head and kicked him in the face, anything, you know.
Right. Absolutely.
That right there, no matter anything else, these are just little points that pop out in my head as far as that is another line in the lawsuit that is on the plaintiff's side, I guess you could say.
Right.
Now which part of the doc? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm gonna break it down to you now.
Okay.
So, of course, Chloe, like I said, do hellified research, and she found some documents, which I think we've seen some of this already because she went over a few things from this document. But I want you to go ahead and point out some things from this document that we discussed that just, I guess, raised some red flags to you. And you can just point out a few the things that was the most important things in your eyes that just raised questions to either Ms. Naisha or the DA or law enforcement. Period. So
okay,
I want y'all to pay attention to this, to what she reads to you, and if you remember what we have already brought to you from what we saw, because these documents that she have, we just got today. All right. So go ahead, Miss Chloe.
Okay. One of the things that I've learned with covering cases is I still read the media articles, the news articles, whether it be the newspaper or if it's the TV news that has, the video and the story with it. But we must understand that those are not official legal documents or statements or anything. They make errors because they are not the courts. They may not do it on purpose, but it happens. So when it comes down to, let me compare what Channel 3 said, and let me compare what the newspaper said, and let me compare what the official authentic court document says, for me, the court document is going to override everything. Because yes, they do make errors in a court document, but once it is discovered, it is depending on what the error is, it's corrected, or in some cases, it's I've seen things actually the whole case thrown out of court over a typographical error. So, being that this document is over a year old, that it was filed in the courts, I think it was in last March of last year. This is one of the things that like I said, the stories I was reading, it matched up, pretty much what the news said, what y'all's other documents had said. But this particular paragraph right here just popped out because to me, I don't understand how any of the attorneys from either side or any of the district attorney, the judge, anybody, I don't understand how a mistake could be here. But what it says is this case arises out of a tragic suicide by the descendant while detained at Hillside Police Department during the booking process. So the comment that said he had not been processed, I would say that is agreeable because it says it's during the process. Process could be I was thinking about getting the pen to do the writing. Okay, if they want to get ignorant with it, but it says on the date of the subject incident, June 22nd, 2018, the deceased was driving with Naisha in a black 2006 BMW. The BMW en route 22 in Union, New Jersey. Union Township Police received a call for a hit and run incident involving a vehicle that matched the description of the descendant car. Excuse me. A Union Township officer engaged in pursuit that eventually was terminated, and it goes into talking about after they lost them. Okay, but this particular sentence right here, right in the middle of the paragraph, when it says that his wife was with him in the vehicle, that threw me, because okay, if they made a mistake, I get that, but this document is over a year old. It would have been corrected, and I did get this document straight from the court itself. I didn't go through Channel 4 or what do you call it, the box or anything. This one came straight from the courthouse itself.
So Miss
it's throwing me off.
Miss Chloe, not to cut you off. So
no, go ahead, please.
Okay, so right here in this document, according to how it's laid out, they're making a claim here. This case arises out of a tragic suicide by decedent while detained at Hillside Police Department during the booking process. On the date of the subject incident, June 22nd, 2018, decedent was driving with Naisha in a black 2006 BMW on Route 22 in Union, New Jersey.
Just want to interrupt for 1 second, John. Put in the chat. What color was the BMW? Go ahead, John.
Yeah. I mean, they're making a very bold claim here. Union Township Police received a call for a hit and run incident involving a vehicle that matched the description of decedent's car. And that's a very big, bold area, because they are making obviously an oppositional claim that they believe that the female that was involved in this incident was Naisha. I mean, if I'm reading it right.
Okay, let me just ask you. You said a female that was involved in this incident. Have I missed something about? Because I haven't read anywhere else until I got to this part here about any other female being involved in the incident.
No, nobody have.
Okay,
nobody have, and that's what brought. When you read this to us, it blew our mind. Like, what?
Right.
What?
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're making the claim as.
Because you do see, like, in some areas when I've been making my own little notes, when I see a timestamp of their claim, I'm writing it out, on the margin over here in red, so it'll stand out to me. So obviously there's not a timestamp on these claims. However, if I were an attorney, okay, I could pull up the dispatching call log to find out, okay, what time was the call for the hit and run made, and I can say, okay, so this happened before that, but this is the time that she's supposed to be at the airport waiting to be picked up.
Right.
If I understand correctly.
Right.
I just want to make sure.
That's what we've been following too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my reaction's a little bit delayed here because I'm still picking up my jaw. Okay. They're alleging the Hillsdale Police Department, I got that correct, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Is not only saying that there was a witness to this incident that they believed or accused saying was Naisha, which we know would not have been there at the time this happened, but there was a female present that they thought was Naisha. So where is there a statement because of what happened? And where is there any documentation who this female was? And Miss Naisha, I mean no disrespect to you
I haven't
that the
seen
female was riding in the vehicle with him, but where was there any sort of documentation on that? And I'm not questioning you, Chloe. I'm just saying, wow.
now.
And, and I'm with you, RJ. You know, when you can take a look at this particular paragraph, and I read it just like you did, it would say something contrary to the point of obviously putting Miss Naisha in that seat in the car at that time. And you know, it'd befuddle me by saying, how the hell did that happen when she's not even there? So I get it. I get it. I grabbed the same thing, RJ. I feel you.
Now,
Go ahead, Chloe.
I agree with what y'all are saying. I have not seen it, and I have not even read this whole how many pages? 22 pages yet, because like I said, I'm on Chicago time, and so I got cut an hour early. But I will say this for curiosity's sake of the chat. You see here at the top of this page, it says the case number, of course, it says filed March 29th of 2021, but it also says right above to the left, not for publication. United States District Court for the District of New Jersey. This is what was labeled as the judge's opinion. Now, there's other documents that are labeled as judge's opinion that I just opened real quick. I didn't see it say not for publication. So being that I'm not an attorney and don't play one on YouTube either, I've never seen that on any document from the courthouse. So I don't know what that means other than we ain't giving this out, but for some reason I was able to obtain it. So I don't know what that means.
Exactly.
I haven't even had a chance to research it to find out. And I can my first thought is hell of a chick, because she's actually worked in the courthouses with records and stuff. So if I'm not getting anywhere with finding this, that's going to be my next thing, is calling her and say, what is this, type thing. But again, because of it being over a year old, and I can drop, let's see. Drop all the way to the bottom. There we go. It will show somewhere. There we go. It's signed. It's stamped, the whole 9 yards. The Honorable Brian, whatever that name is, on March 29th of 2021. So it's legit. It's been filed, sealed, stamped, whatever. Now, granted, I've got other documents that there was 700 and whatever, 40 of them, that I've got to go through. So there may be something after this that maybe I'll find that shows a correction or whatever. But I ain't that far down the road yet. But that just, like I said, because there's so much information on any case that we cover, as I find things, and because you guys have a head start on with this case than I do, that's why I screenshot that paragraph. I threw it out there. Hey, what is this? Because I don't know about this, and it's something that needs to be figured out, because
Absolutely.
both sides have copies of this.
Right.
So that was my and to be honest, a little bit that I have read of this document so far, it seems to be more so in the plaintiff's side, favoritism, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But again, being that is that way, again, why is it saying that the wife was in that vehicle?
Right.
It's throwing me for a big loop right there, you know?
Right.
All right, John. I see you got something that you want to share. You done, Chloe? You got anything else you want to
Yeah,
point out?
no, go ahead. That's what I said. Let me know exactly what you want from me.
And now you got it.
Thank you, Chloe. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Most certainly. What you see before you is the actual building that Hillside Police, brought Mr. Covington. Now you have, remember, Union Police is separate from Hillside Police. Okay? They run two different jurisdictions, and one jurisdiction contacted another jurisdiction based upon a black or blue stolen BMW for some strange reason. So it kind of makes you wonder, okay, they're talking to each other, and you're there with Jermaine Covington in the car he was supposed to pick up his wife at Newark Airport, right? Okay. So he's on his way, I guess, going to pick up his wife. And you know how police do on side streets, highways, and stuff like that. If they see like an expensive car, like a BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and it looks too dark, it's got tinted windows and all this stuff, police can profile a car like that to be suspect for some strange reason. I can't see you through the windows. Your car is too shiny. It looks brand new, too new enough for you to drive. Just what they do. And they get behind Jermaine Covington and run the plates like they do anyway. Because when a police car in the 21st century, this day, that gets behind you at a stop sign or a traffic light where they can, and you got the dashboard cameras, you got the body cam going on, you got all these cameras zoomed at your car because they are in close proximity, and they decide to run your plates. What do you think they do? Information comes up through DMV, outstanding tickets, warrants, anything. And so there you sit in your car, and a police car behind you shows up. Take a moment, one quick moment of your life that never happened to you. What is going through your mind? What's going through your system? Now, if you do have tickets, court appearances, child support, any kind of legal aspect going on in your life, and we already know that Jermaine had a past life, okay? What do you think may have run through his mind at that time? He's trying to get his life straight. He's married the woman that he wants to be with. She's trying to help him straighten out a life he had before, which was really not giving him anything, doing anything for him. What went through his mind? What caused this chase, as police say in the documents, to have occurred? Do you think in some way, shape, or form. This could have been a triggering mechanism that may have caused something to happen at that moment. And Mr. Boss Blake and I, we zeroed in on this particular time, at this particular moment, as men, and we also know as women, driving a car with all of this stuff called life around us, and we see a police car behind us, and they're staying behind us, maybe for 2 blocks, 3 blocks, give or take 4. What's going through our system at that time with these little particulars, let's just say, in the air? And this is most important because we wanted to know why police stated in the report that they gave chase, they pursued Mr. Covington. Now, he didn't rob a bank. He, well, I guess he wasn't doing anything illegal at that time, right? So why would they pursue him enough to crash that car? Now, in the last live, we showed you photos of the car. Miss Chloe was with us. Mr. RJ was with us. And we took a look at certain aspects of the car, and we're still delineating a lot of information from those photos. Whether it was a pit maneuver to try to stop the car, and I'm glad RJ brought that up. Miss Chloe pointed out certain things about the body of the car, behind the car, the tags of the car, the doors of the car. RJ pointed out the scratches on the side, on both sides of the car. Why did they want to stop Mr. Covington's car at that time? However, we're digging into that. We'll get down to it. But this is where they brought him 5 minutes away from where they arrested him. And Chloe, if you can bring back in that document for me the area where they arrested him, I want to point out something because this is critical. And I think I can make my point tonight based upon cause and effect somewhere in this video. And this is crucial to the case because you brought it up, and I thank you for it.
Okay. You want me to get to the part of
If you can go back
apprehending him before they put him in the vehicle?
If you can go back to the apprehension, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I still have that pulled up.
And while you do that, and I want to share something just so you can know that this man actually exists. Me and John talked about this, and we never showed any other pictures that Miss Naisha took because how graphic they were. And I just want to show this real briefly because I think this is the only one that probably YouTube won't trip about. So I want y'all to see this for yourself. This is Mr. Jermaine Covington right here. This is the shot that I feel like we can show. All right. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and I want you just to look and just think about everything they said that happened to him. Now, there's more pictures, but we don't want to show them. So take a look.
The picture that Mr. Boss Blake is showing you is a very direct, personal picture. Mr. Covington at the end result of everything that we've been talking about. This was taken personally by Miss Naisha, his wife. as incredible as the views of this particular room, this particular place at the particular time, these photographs or this particular photograph was taken, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of why that shows up in this room. This is at the funeral home. According to the pictures and the information that we've been given, that Miss Naisha took personally herself. These are not pictures I would suggest anybody can look at because no one would want to look at them. Mr. Boss Blake is sharing an angle with you here just based on a top-down headshot to the feet, to the wall, in a room that she was able to gather this information. I appreciate all of the information that we're able to gather. There's a lot of things you don't see, and only because out of discretionary reasons for our channels, Mr. Boss Blake, mine, Miss Chloe's, RJ, we are, leaning toward the area of keeping certain information confidential based upon the reports that were made versus the pictures that we were given regarding Mr. Covington. So we appreciate everyone's, candor, cooperation regarding that. Miss Chloe, do you have that document up?
Yes, I do. I have a question. Not to sound
Okay.
uneducated, because I'm not real educated. I'm not a doctor. Okay. And I'm assuming probably there's people in the chat as well that might have the question and may not feel, that they can ask it. Is there anything specific about that particular photograph that y'all wanted the chat or anybody to specifically pick up as far as what it was that what y'all are referring to on that particular picture?
The identification that the person on the table was Mr. Covington. Okay. Because they would not tell her anything about her husband during the time she was asking.
Okay.
What happened to him? Nothing. You want to come down to the station, answer some questions, is all she got. They wanted her to sign a search warrant that she did consent to.
Yes.
Both her resident and her personal car.
Okay,
They're looking for a gun. Okay. They're looking for a gun that wasn't even present, like Mr. Boss Blake pointed out earlier. It wasn't on him when they apprehended him, and there was no gun found in the car or around the car or anywhere in the vicinity of where they apprehended him.
I understood that she had signed the document for the search on the vehicle, but I had not seen the one for
and I believe, Chloe, I believe that document was signed under duress.
I understand that part. What I've read so far, it only had the one listed, so that's something else I need to look for and see.
Yes.
So I know that's just that little notation in my head.
This would have not been under any normal circumstances whatsoever. I think that the limited information they gave her during that time, not telling her what happened to her husband, not telling her what came about of her husband up until they had no choice but to tell her her husband was deceased, and that they wanted to make sure of certain other elements to clear his name, so to speak, that signing a search warrant was required under her duress at the time. And I truly believed, and I still do, according to what I've read, She signed a search warrant under duress.
No,
She wanted to know the facts about what happened to her husband and if signing a search warrant to clear the car, her residence, or any place else that they needed to search, that's what she did.
Do
hold
y'all
on, I just
go
want to
ahead?
stop real quick, Chloe, because I know RJ wanted to say something. So before you get into what
Go
you're
ahead.
going
Go
to
ahead.
talk
I just
about,
had a question, but go ahead. Go ahead. Get his first.
No. I was actually was agreeing with John. It was not a major point. I appreciate you, boss man, though. By just the definition of being the situation where the police could have demanded that she sign this document, and then they would have spoken to her, and not until that. My mind has stuck on one point though. I know it's protocol for the police, and it's not what we're focusing on tonight, but I think it's relevant. Protocol for the police when a certain situations happen, the officer involved has to go to the hospital. You had 5 officers that went to the hospital for evaluation after the incident happened. There's something extremely odd going all the way back to that. And I may have jumped ahead of where we're at, but that's still something that's standing out as being extremely odd to me.
What's that?
About the 5 officers going to the hospital, all 5 officers, but yet there's only one officer in the booking area that he had a struggle with for the weapon.
Right.
There was
Supposedly.
there was no struggle.
That goes back. That goes back, and I'm glad you guys are digging into it. That goes back to me asking Chloe about bringing up this statement about the struggle in the apprehension, because that's what police officers do when they apprehend you. They get you to the ground, even though you may be unarmed, no weapons. They will struggle you to the ground and then apprehend you with handcuffs. Why didn't this police officer or these documents in any way, shape, or form when he was in processing mention a struggle before Mr. Covington shot himself, allegedly?
All right, go ahead, Chloe.
When y'all are saying the struggle, I'm assuming y'all mean where Vetter didn't attempt to stop him. I haven't
Absolutely.
read that far.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't no struggle at all. No
It's
struggle.
not there. I just have not gotten that far into these. I mean, between the ones that I got and the ones that you guys, we're looking at 1,000 documents here. So,
well, no, I'm just showing you. I showed you.
I haven't read it that far, but you're correct. I haven't seen that.
No, I'm just saying.
But
I'm just saying natural behavior.
Yes.
In the Terrell Rhodes case, I showed you the video. There were 3 officers present in that interrogation room, and one officer had their weapon taken from them. What did they immediately do? What would you do?
Well, even as
you would go after that weapon. That's a part of your equipment. It's been a part of your life.
Damn
no
right.
matter how long you've been on the force.
Damn
Someone
right.
takes a weapon from you, you are going to go to the weapon and anything that's attached to it to struggle to get your property, your weapon back.
Yes.
Right. And that's a point I was making. That's a point I was making when we were on your on with you that the other day, John Q, was that it would be a struggle. It would be a huge fight if you had even attempted to put a hand on that weapon. It would have been a major fight because that's one of the things that officers are trained to do, that nobody is to take that weapon from you.
Correct.
Because at that point, you might as well say that you are literally at the mercy of the person that you're trying to apprehend. And if this is a true criminal, they're going to do everything and anything to remain free.
Yep.
Okay. But what I was saying, though, is that I'm still stuck at the point that there was one officer in booking. And I go back to what I was saying about this supposed other female. Where is any documentation about this other female? Because we're still, my mind is still at the point where I've only seen any mention of one officer in the booking area. But we have 5 officers that went to the hospital, which would have been protocol after an incident like this.
Have y'all
Correct.
read anything that about the officers going to the hospital? Because I haven't seen that. Even though
Yeah.
like you're saying, protocol, I haven't gotten that. I haven't seen those yet, so I didn't know.
Yeah, they actually did. I talked to Miss Naisha about this, and she stated, and it made sense. Like, her husband's down here bleeding, dying, and they took these officers for minor, maybe scrapes. Where the hell these scrapes and bruises came from? Is these scrapes and bruises from when they apprehended him at 612 Leo Street? Or you trying to say something else happened inside that precinct that we have not seen?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah, because I was, like I said, I wasn't even aware of that. I mean, when you were talking about them going to the hospital for protocol, I was thinking, or if they got to be tested for gunshot residue. I didn't even know that they had gone. That's what I'm saying. Wasn't aware of that. I haven't gotten that far into the documents, so I wasn't aware. My question that I was going to ask, just so I don't forget, if y'all know the answer, is without going into too much detail about she did this and she did that, but from the time that she was notified that there was an issue with her husband to the time that she was being questioned to whether to make her statement, sign these papers, whatever. What was that time frame, if y'all know?
Well, we know she was at her brother's home,
Mm-hmm.
and when she actually encountered the cops, because they came to her, because actually they first asked her to come to them, but she didn't have no vehicle, so they came to her and they started talking to her. At that point, they let her know what was going on, and I'm assuming she went to the precinct, because at this time it was already done.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He was already dead.
Yes.
So I can't tell you an exact time. If Miss Naisha is in the chat, if
well,
you want to,
I'm wondering, was it 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours the next day, and that type of thing is what I was.
This is the same day. It was the same day when she was notified. The same exact day, because if you look at her statement, it says June 22nd.
Okay. Yeah. Now I keep seeing comments, and let me just address this. And I think maybe one of y'all even said it as well. As far as, was there really a dispatch call made for the hit and run, or was there really a dispatch call made for that shoplifter guy? Things I can tell you this much: what I do know, all dispatch calls are made through Stardate. Stardate is designed that nobody can tweak them. Nobody can. I mean, they can get on it and lie and fake a call, but that call was still going to be made, and it's there, and it's for the purpose so that bad officers cannot edit things or whatever. So I'm sure the attorneys have the records of just like what we got with the Kanika case, the records of all the dispatch calls and whatnot. In the Kanika case, we got the audio. It's other cases that I've done FOIAs with, they had just the paper documentation. They wouldn't give the audio because they said the audio was too hard to redact, type of thing. But so for those that are asking and wondering, was there even really a dispatch for the hit and run? Well, there would have had to have been, because that would be too easy to prove if there was not one.
There go your answer in the chat. She said they called her around 7-ish, Corey.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so that's after the medical examiner came then. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now, RJ, I think you was going to say something as well, and I'm going to put up John's video real quick. We going to come back to yours, Corey.
Okay.
RJ?
Okay.
Continue on, no comment.
All right, go ahead, John. John, you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
I know. I see that you put up this video, so I think you want to show
I
something.
was on mute. These things happen, you know what I mean? All right, so going back to the video that we saw earlier, I want you to take another look in slow motion when an officer's weapon has been relieved from them in an aggressive manner, what that officer does. That's all. To prove the point that when an officer feels relieved of their weapon, they are committed to life to getting that weapon back. Now, this is the incident pertaining to Terrell Rhodes out of Las Vegas regarding the Amari Nicholson case. One officer has him under control, the female across the desk, in a confined area no more than about 6 feet by 8 feet wide. Boom. He grabs the weapon, and what do? They fight for the weapon.
That was her fault.
In a struggle to make sure that they can find the security of a lethal weapon. Not only do we see two police officers in an interrogation room. Look for yourself. They are not leaving that weapon, the person. Now we have a third to try to contain a weapon that has been relieved from an officer at that time. You'll see a fourth officer enter this particular situation. You notice how they huddle to control. Fourth officer comes, and this is only a simulation as to what may have occurred at that particular time. Officer is yelling, they're all yelling at the same time. And they're beating to try to get that weapon away from the person that took it. And if there needs to be further control based upon 2 or 3 police officers, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth will even come into play until that weapon is released from the assailant that has it. I can't get in my mind that Mr. Covington drew a weapon, pointed it at the officer, told him to shut the fuck up, is what we were told. And that officer stands down without trying to retain his weapon. I don't buy it at all. My point.
They did do the right thing by trying to prevent him from firing that weapon in that room. But that female made a mistake the way that she moved her arm, and she should have been, I don't know. That one, I don't think she was trained well.
Oh, I mean, she's sitting across the desk. and they're trying to, I guess, get whatever additional information after he had confessed what happened.
Uh-huh.
You kind of figure what would make him reach for a weapon. Is it to blow his brains out, or is it to get the hell out of there?
Take a hostage to get out of there. Yeah.
Right.
It could be anything. It could be anything. And you don't know the mind of anybody, whether they're a criminal or whether they're just scared or whatever. But once the weapon was taken from the female officer there,
Right.
they did appear to do what I think is the proper protocol. But I hope she got reprimanded and just retrained or something, because the way she jumped back like that, even as a parent, if your child goes to grab something off of you, let's say like, like dad's having a pocket knife, that type of thing, your automatic reaction as a parent is to grab that kid's hand and stop him. She didn't do that. She like gave him an open target to grab the gun, because she moved her arm out of the way of the gun,
Right.
So,
But Miss Chloe, if the weapon wasn't there, do you think he would have grabbed at
no.
her?
I mean,
No.
the only
No.
I've seen incidences where they grab the taser gun still, but even if in that case, it's not going to do the damage that a gun would have done. So it is necessary for them not to have guns in that type of environment. Yes.
No, okay, that's hence the point as to the reason why 11 days later they changed policy. According to a 229-page document that is in a PDF that was sent to Mr. Boss Blake, the first 2 pages that I read was the change of protocol according to weapons being secured in a processing area, and interrogation is also part of processing.
Yes.
Like fingerprints, photographs, stepping in line, all this other stuff, until they put them into a holding area to be either, if you're there on a Friday, you don't see the judge until Monday, right?
But and a lot of times in that, like, well, that situation in that particular is different than his. But in that situation there, a lot of times that may not even take place until after you're put into general population, and they want to pull you back out to question you, or something that the detectives coming in, because in general, for most things that people get arrested for, the booking processing, should I say, the processing officer will ask you, did you do it or whatever, and they're going to write down. They could pretty much read you whether or not you are going to confess. There's a chance you're going to confess. They will offer you right then and there. Maybe I can help you out if you tell it. And they know right then and there, man, just send me back already. I'm done with you. That type of attitude is what's going on. But again, even though it's a little bit late in this case for this victim, at least it was taken care of to prevent it from being another victim in that same precinct.
Right. I agree.
That was bullshit.
I could think that.
John?
Going back to RJ's comment, which is critical, when you have 5 police officers responding to medical in a hospital after an incident like this, it really raises red flags according to the statement. What they're trying to do, they're trying to follow up in some way, shape, or form to cover their ass, or are they still following protocol after an incident like this? And so,
John,
go ahead, RJ. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
A moment ago, you said it was a simulation. Now, was this a video of like a training exercise simulation, or was this actual?
This is live. This was a live event that happened in Las Vegas pertaining to a live case concerning Amari Nicholson, 4 years old, who lost his life based upon a boyfriend taking care of a girlfriend's child, who the girlfriend went to visit mom, and the little baby wet his pants early in the morning, got upset, started to cry, and woke the boyfriend up from his sleep and obviously agitated enough to beat the child to death.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure it was clear to everybody in chat that this was of another city interview room, and an officer was equally careless about where they were with their pistol on their hip, as we believe that this booking officer may have been. And the reason I'm wording it that way is that without any video evidence, which has, do we have any knowledge
As
of?
of yet, yeah, as of yet. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, with it being New Jersey, and nobody, please, if you live in New Jersey, no offense, I used to as well. I'm not at all surprised something like that would have just mysteriously disappeared, but it stands out. Chloe, I'll shut up so you can continue on with what you were presenting.
Because I'm listening to you and I'm learning as well, as far as, like I said, because I'm playing catch up in this particular case with you guys. But it's I think whoever the authoritative figure was that I remember John reading from his live, he says it was a lapse of something, basically, that he was saying, vetters messed up by doing this. And so that tells me at least that it was recognized by the authorities that it was his fault. Whether or not he got disciplined.
To be point blank, it was a lack of weapon safety protocol.
Yes.
In a confined area.
Favor for the wife's lawsuit, because that's their boss, their supervisor is admitting that their employee, their officer, screwed up, basically.
And that's where I told Mr. Bossman, she has got hands down. She has a civil suit hands down. Correct. Based on that change of protocol. Now, the rest of it is a lot iffy here. And, it's more peripheral to a sense as to cause and effect. What communication? Let me do this.
If I can real quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm very surprised that New Jersey, any department in New Jersey made a 209-page document and put it straight up front about the change in protocol, because I've seen documentation from different departments in New Jersey where they're having protocol changes and doing changes of different things, and they will bury it in a document that has absolutely nothing to do with the department that it actually affects. They will intentionally hide things like that. And that is traditional New Jersey accepted behavior.
Right.
I'm not familiar with Jersey's laws or anything really, but to what benefit does it do Jersey to do that? If it's because generally when they're making a change in protocol, it's for a benefit, or safety, whatever it is, on both sides of the fence. So what are they benefiting from hiding that they actually made something better, if in fact that's what they were doing, making something better, a policy?
The thing is that's not something that they just did. That rule has always been in effect. They made it seem like they just changed that rule. But if you heard me earlier, Chloe, when I was talking to my buddy, he said 99.9% of precincts all over America, that's just the rule. You do not take a gun and booking, processing, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. You do not. You put your gun in a lockbox, and all officers know that is the case.
And they call that the Sally Port.
Sally Port.
Yeah, there you go.
Sally Port is where they bring in the arrested people to start the process of processing them.
Right.
They get them out of the car and they pat them down and all that, take your shoes away.
Right.
But you did say 99, so I don't know. Is Jersey that one? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know anything about Jersey laws, so that's why I was, I assumed that when they said that they made it a new policy 11 days later, that's why I said I took it as as at least it's a positive thing that they were willing to admit that we made a mistake and we should have this in our everyday policies, protocols, or whatever you want to refer to it as. And so they were willing to make that change prior to having to be taken to court to make them get that change.
I'm not gonna let you slide with that 1%, Corey. Hell nah. 99.9%. I'm not gonna let you slide with
Somebody
that.
don't have
Hell
it. You
nah.
said 99. I didn't say 99. I would have said 80 or 90.
Hey,
Because you always gonna have the ones that have the protocol and they just don't choose not to practice it.
Hey, if you do a paternity test and they say 99.9%, you the fucking father, bro. They ain't gonna say, oh, you that 1%, you ain't him. No, that shit is law or rule that's implemented in all precincts. That's what my brother was trying to tell me.
I don't know, because you know what? If I have a baby, it's mine. It came from me. I know it's mine. I ain't worried about no 99. I got it for me.
Yes, Lord.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, John. You said you.
But going back to what I was saying, if you can break this case down, and if you have followed us from part 1, part 2, and now part 3, and now in your own mind as to where Miss Naisha is with this case, and we're not finished because we're just getting started. Okay, I want to thank Miss Chloe for the research that she's done to get some very, very valid, crucial information. It's a lot, because the information that Mr. Boss Blake got today that he sent to me, I haven't even gotten to yet.
Join the club. It took
nowhere near it
until about an hour before we were talking. I finally finished downloading the last one available as of this time. So as far as opening them and looking at them, no, I did the one and I was like already on the phone. Hello, what's this?
You
opened
I'm
going to be in here.
I did the same thing. I started looking at them. I'm like, whoa, wait. I need to just download these now. And when I have a moment to really read them and look at them, there's going to be a lot of information coming out of them.
And that's what I prefaced the last live to tell people. There is a lot of information pertaining to this case, an overabundance of it. And you would have to put yourself in Mr. Boss Blake's shoes, my shoes, Miss Chloe's shoes, RJ's shoes, for getting all of this all at once. And the same for Miss Naisha at the same time, for her to even figure out what to look at, how to think about it, and there's nobody there to help her through all of what we just got today. And so this is where this case is unfolding. Going back at the preliminaries of what we covered, you got the story. 41-year-old male ends up in police custody, and they say he killed himself. Go from that story. Then go to the details of what we've been able to unfold. And thanks to Miss Naisha and family, we're able to take a look at it from her side and all of the documents that she was able to give to us to look at it from her side. We can see from the documents now, according to her story, that there are a lot of red flags. This is hard and heavy. The photographs that she was able to get were hard and heavy just for her to get, because they didn't even want her attorney to see the body, if you remember. He wasn't a pathologist to be looking at a body, so what the hell was he supposed to be talking about? Was the answer. What Mr. Boss Blake is, pointing at us right now in the photo was a very deep head wound, a laceration from the middle of the forehead all the way across the left eyebrow, well beyond back toward the ear. And we can't show that because it is way too graphic and not too easy to digest. But if you can picture what that is, along with a bullet wound to the side of the head, along with neck abnormalities that I never saw in any autopsy photographs that I looked at. Facial lacerations, upper nose, lip, right cheek, chin, throat, and that's it. That's it. It reminds me of Miss 54 Keys and a photograph that she showed of Kanika, and Miss Chloe also showed that photograph on her channel when these two women were covering that case at the time. And it was a photo of Kanika at the funeral home. She didn't have the long hair that we saw her walking with in the hotel. In fact, her hair was stripped. Her face was stripped of all the essentials that we saw her in the video surveillance footage. And we were able to take a look at close-up shots of her lips, the bridge, upper nose, eyes, bridge of the eyebrows, cheeks, chin, earlobes, frontal neck, everything, to determine whether there was any modification to one photo. And it's hard to tell, but one thing that's not hard to tell, when you lose a loved one and they're not coming back, and these are the photographs that you have to live with for the rest of your life. Like Teresa Martin did with Kanika, Miss Naisha has to deal with Jermaine. In this way, you can imagine if you were there and this was yours, how would you process this? How do you live with this? Her guise, her way out of this is justice. If there was any foul play here, well, she sought out elsewise to reach out. And I'm glad she did to Mr. Boss Blake, him to me, him to Chloe, us to Mr. RJ, and who knows if there's another content creator that can carry this story and post it and talk about it and get it out there and shake up some of these authorities that think that they can go behind the scenes, write what the hell they want to write in their police reports, and do what they want to do with the court systems to manipulate them on their favor so they don't lose funding to tell the truth. You decide. What do you want? A paid-for process that gives you nothing but what they say, or the undivided, unfiltered, unequivocated truth that God gave us all to take command of and control of, and to be sure that exist for all of us, not just the few of us, but for all of us. I'll stand down.
Well, I appreciate that, John. That was well worded, well spoken. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. We normally just like to do 2 hours. Again, Miss Naisha, we with you. And like John stated, just imagine you dealing with all this alone. You know what I'm saying? It goes to Miss Teresa, like you stated. A lot of people have their thoughts about her and what she believed and what she said she saw. I will never be closed-minded, but I'm always look for facts. But when Miss Naisha said this is what happened, I just met her. She asked for help, and that's what we're here for. What she tell us, we're going to research it, and we're going to find out what's real, and we're going to find out what's questionable. But at the end of the day, we can't dismiss nothing she says unless the facts point to something otherwise. So what we're here for is to bring out the truth. And if what she's saying is true, so far we found a lot of things that we agree with her on. Some things is questionable, just like what Chloe brought up today. You mean to tell me she was in the car with him? How the hell is that true? So the discrepancies that we find in these reports versus the articles that they put out in the news, it's our job to find the truth and decipher what's bullshit. And that's all we're here for. Whatever Miss Naisha is trying to gain from this, which we have an idea because we speak with her, that's what we're trying to hunt for. And if something blocks that because of a fact shows otherwise, then it's nothing we can do. But right now, we're on the road to find the justice that she sees fit for her and Nige, her son, because that's all that matters right now. So I want to give RJ, and Chloe an opportunity to speak their final words before we get out of here, and we're going to start with ladies first. You have the floor, Miss Chloe.
You know my laptop don't work that fast to come over here and unmute myself. I'm just I feel like I got a fire under me that I just the same way like with the Kanika case, and that's one of the advantages versus disadvantages of researching a case is how accessible is it to get your hands on documents and be able to compare them. Those of y'all that follow me, y'all know that I've covered other cases, and sometimes it's very easy to get the documents and records. Sometimes it's easy, but it's expensive. Sometimes it's just impossible. So, you know, if we can get them straight from the officials, even though if the officials may be kind of shady, we have to be able to eliminate as many middle people. So that's my thing, is why I when I saw that I did have the option that to be able to get those documents, that's what I wanted to get. And it's let's help this family. If we can find any discrepancies, I mean, I feel like the attorneys are going to know more than us, because that's why they went to law school all the years that they did. But it's if nothing else, right now I feel like we're making everybody aware in the community, and y'all are going to speak on it to other people. So if nothing else, I feel like we're successful in doing that at this point. If we, like I said, if we can help the family in furthering their pursuit for justice, that's a wonderful feeling. Because again, a few years ago, the Brandon Weaver case out of Tennessee, I'll never forget the feeling I got when the stepfather reached out to me and wrote this encyclopedia, it felt like, thanking me for being putting his son's story out there and being unbiased about it when I did it. And that's the way I go into any case. I'm unbiased, and that's why when Boss had sent me the documents, at first I didn't ask him anything. Let me see what's here, and then let me ask the questions, because nobody had spoken to me. So, and to me, that's the best way that my mind can work. And I'm hoping to be able to be helpful to your team as far as with getting whatever the family may need in this case. And that's really all I can say.
I definitely appreciate it. You are a team. Ain't no your team. You are a team. RJ.
Thank you very much, boss man, and everybody tonight. Miss Nisha, always, you are the victim in this whole situation. You're being deceived. You're being not given the full story, and you deserve the full story. And in not to drag politics into this or anything like that, but having something like the First Amendment is a beautiful thing in this situation, because we get to question what we're being told. We get to hold the feet to the fire of the officials that we're supposed to be able to trust. And that is exactly what has not. They're not giving information. They're not giving answers that they need to provide. You know, I know that we're never going to be able to see that IA investigation, because the police are going to say, oh, that's police internal business. That's nobody's public business. But we still have the right, and Miss Nisha especially has the right to have all of her questions answered. And that's exactly where I'm approaching this from, and will continue to approach this from.
Appreciate that. RJ. John, I definitely think we got us a solid team, my brother. We're gonna continue doing what we can to help Miss Naisha, and we're gonna ride till the wheels fall off. And like I said, the justice that she is seeking, that's all it's about. And as you can see, that's Miss Naisha and Mr. Jermaine. And my heart goes out to you. And we're going to keep working for you. John, you got any last words?
Yes. And RJ, thank you. You know, to get content creators to collaborate on cases like this is what Mr. Boss Blake and myself, along with Miss Chloe and RJ too, can appreciate. When stories like this hit home and it's outside of a story that may have run maybe 6 months, 9, even 1 year to date, it makes you wonder, it makes you think. Is there a dichotomy, a separation between, what people will decide to cover on their channels and what stories matter, and those that, are never mentioned? Mr. Boss Blake, as well as RJ, has covered Summer Wells on their channel. I've covered Summer Wells on mine. It's well over a year. Mr. Boss Blake and I have covered the Daniel Robinson case, and that is coming toward a year on the 23rd of this month. Now, we have another case. This is as old as 2018. June 22nd, Summer Wells on the 15th, Daniel Robinson on the 23rd of the same month. Are any one of these stories more important than the other? Answer, no. They're all important. Every single one of these stories are important. You can take a break from a story that you're still waiting for information, still waiting for things to develop from, obviously, the legal side. But when you have other stories that are just as important, like this, happening, has happened, is happening, and that are not covered, which is just as important as the story that happened just a minute ago. Take a pause, take a moment. If this or any one of the stories covered you were connected to, really connected to, like if it was yours, what would you want someone on social media to do to try to help you? And Miss Naisha, thank you. You brought a very important story to light. And you're going to get your answers up or down, left or right. We're here to do just that because we're treating your story just like if it was ours personally. Get involved in these cases, and sometimes the case can take you over rather than you take a case over. Well, you don't have to worry about that here because we get the case and we take it over and make sure that we're looking at it objectively, logically, and for the most part, scientifically to make sure that the answers that you're looking for are the answers that we would settle for if we were you personally. My heart goes out to you and your family for having the courage, and little Najee for having the courage to stay fast to the truth. That's where you're going. That's what you want. That's where we're headed. When we can get here to what happened to Jermaine on June 22nd of 2018, according to everything that you've been able to provide us with, we will be able to give it to you in hopes that you can give it to the right party and direct it to the right agency that'll help you and Najee focus on life. Because, the walk away to this is real simple. What are you going to settle for? How are you going to walk away from this if it doesn't show any kind of justice for it? How are you going to be good? Whichever that way is going to be about, you should always be good. Because Najee, Jermaine's son, your son, has got to be good coming from it. Because down the road, this story is going to unfold as he gets older, and he can look back on it and look back on you, see if everything was done right. Because if anything wasn't done right, he's going to have questions that's always going to remain in his mind until he's ready to ask you. What you're doing for the family, you stand behind. We love you. We thank you for trusting us to support your story and expose it, to bring it out and to get the truth, not only for you and your son, but for the whole entire family and everyone in the chat. It's got family as well. Mine, Mr. Boss Blake, Miss Chloe Olvera, Mr. RJ, and everyone across the YouTube platform. If we can help each other in any way, shape, or form, we can only do it together. Doing it by yourself, you can't move a rock. But together, we can move anything in this universe together. So much love to you. Thank you for putting up with me and my commentary for tonight. Hopefully it helped. And Mr. Boss Blake, much love to you for bringing this story to our awareness.
It's a pleasure. Definitely a pleasure. We're going to wrap things up. Thank y'all for tuning in for part 3 of the mysterious death of Jermaine Covington. We will have a part 4 and a part 5. Eventually, y'all will get to hear from Miss Naisha. We're going to get most of the information out there. Stay tuned for our next part 4, which I have a special guest up then, and it'll be on John's Q's Live, and we'll definitely present that and give you the date and time. So stay tuned on my community wall as well as John Q. Double Rainbow done dropped the links to our chat, our pages. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe so you will be notified, and you can set your notifications on when that live will be taking place.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe to RJ on his channel, Miss Chloe on her channel. And I think that we're looking good for...
Hold on.
Yeah.
I got an idea. You tell me if it works for you.
Okay.
What happens in 3 days, John?
What happens in 3 days?
What's the day?
Sunday, Father's Day.
What's the date?
19th.
What happens in 3 days?
22. Ooh.
You just caught that, didn't you?
22.
You just caught that, didn't you?
Boss man, that's a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Sounds good to me.
Can you do it?
Sounds good to me.
The 22nd, 4-year anniversary. Thank you, Chloe, for reminding me, because I was talking to Chloe about that. So
sounds good. You want to hit it in the middle of the week? Okay.
I mean, that's why I said if.
No, we can do it. We can do it. And it would only be right because we are there in the month of June.
Yeah. So y'all stay tuned.
That part.
That part. Okay.
We will be seeing y'all, which the 22nd is what, Wednesday, right?
Yes.
6 o'clock?
We can do it if Chloe can do it. RJ can do it.
What time zone?
Too early for me.
Too early.
Too early.
Yeah, I work until 8 p.m.
8 p.m. So
Y'all are saying 6 o'clock y'all's time. That's what 5 o'clock my time, right?
Don't go there.
If we need to do it 8 o'clock, we can do it 8 o'clock. 8:30?
8:30.
8:30 Eastern Standard Time, Chloe.
1 a.m. Oh, okay.
Leanne, are you in the building?
It's just quiet around here overnight. But yeah, hey, that's cool. The latest because things settle down, and I don't have to worry about getting up and helping dad or whatever. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. All right. So
remind me 3 times before then.
We'll post it for Wednesday, June 22nd, 8:30 p.m., my channel. And we'll give a 30 minutes grace to Mr. RJ. And then again, maybe 15 extra minutes just in case he needs to make a sandwich and
Get him some water.
get home and, let me take my shoes off. I got to do this live. And
No,
Yeah,
drink
well,
the bread. Drink bread
We're
instead.
good. We're good with 8:30 sharp. I work from home.
Okay.
So we're good with 8:30 sharp, and I will definitely have my water, boss man. You learned about my water last night, man. I can't go without having water.
That's right. All
I
right.
hear you.
There it is.
So
8:30.
we'll post it. We'll
Most
post
definitely.
it tonight. Okay.
So we'll see y'all 8:30 Wednesday. Again, we love y'all. Be easy. Hug your kids. Love your kids. Stay vigilant. And we gone.